I've got a friend in the studio today and a fellow registered dietitian. Whoop, whoop. Miss Donna Speed. She's with the Dairy Alliance, and June 1st kicked off June Dairy Month, and yesterday being World Milk Day. So welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, for yesterday being World Milk Day and we're celebrating June Dairy Month, we want to ask you, what is your favorite thing to drink with a glass of ice-cold milk? You can let us know, 601-879-4395. Many of you will say PB&J, and I will second that with maybe some Oreos or a good soft brownie. I'm not sure. Maybe some good cookies.
Yeah.
What would be for you, Donna? What would be your most favorite thing
Peanut
to drink?
butter and jelly with a ice cold glass of that milk.
Yes, milk's right up there with one of those things. A good ice cold glass just pairs well with specific things, and so we want to know what that is for you. So this is a busy month, though, for our hardworking dairy farm families here in Mississippi. So how do you guys celebrate June Dairy Month?
We have a lot of activities going on throughout the entire month to celebrate Dairy Month, because our dairy farmers work so hard. Sometimes they get a bad rap, and the fact that, there's a lot of myths out there, but our dairy farmers are very much concerned about the care of their animals. They're very much concerned about the earth. They do everything to try to utilize their resources as much as they can.
When we think of dairy farming, we don't always think of Mississippi. You think of the Midwest, but we've got some great family farms still here in Mississippi.
Yes.
It was a more thriving industry at one point, I do believe, but that doesn't mean that it count us out in the dairy world. Do you know how many farms we still have here in Mississippi?
Yes, we have 47 farms still in the state. That's more than some of the other states that our company works with. But, part of the thing with the family-owned farms is that their young children, their adult children, don't want to take over. They realize that it's a very hard business. Some of the farms have joined in together, so instead of being able to say we have 3 farms, now it's 1 farm that has joined together to ease up on production and to make better use of their resources.
I see here the top 3 milk-producing counties in Mississippi is Marion, Copiah, and Walthall County.
Correct.
Which I think Walthall County at one point really was a booming dairy county.
They were one of the biggest. And in fact, let me put a plug in because Saturday is their Walthall Dairy County Day. And if you've never been to it, it's a really fun event in Tylertown. They have tons of activities. They have all kind of contests involving dairy and milk. They have prettiest baby contests, singing contests. You name it, they have it going on.
That's also where they have the turtle racing contest.
Yes, it is. It is. They have the turtle racing. And we give away free milk and ice cream,
which I think is worth getting out on a hot summer day for to enjoy. Always a good time. There's also butter churning contests.
Yes.
And things of that nature. But we mentioned, Rhino and I had talked about it before, the Walthall County's turtle races. If you know how turtle races got to be part of a dairy festival, 601-879-4395. We never connected those dots, but it's definitely something for the family for sure.
Yes, I'm not sure how that happened. Now, one thing that's a lot of fun for the kids is that Tanya, one of our dairy farmers, will be there with her cow, Purple. And Purple is actually black and white, but Purple lays down and lets the kids crawl all over her. She loves being at the festival.
Oh, and kids love cows too, or at least baby cows for sure. And we should appreciate our cows because the total amount of milk produced in 2022 here in Mississippi was 10.4 million gallons.
Yes.
That's a lot of fluid milk.
It really is. And the thing about it is now that's not just produced here in Mississippi, but throughout our region. But it's a lot of milk, and we're trying everything we can to make better use of what we have as far as resources, try to increase production. Because, the more milk a cow can make, then the more that the farmer will profit some.
Absolutely, which, it's still a business, which I think people sometimes forget when it comes to agriculture, like particularly those with animal farming. You still have to, the farmer has to be able to support their family. It can't be given away for free. And so, looking at it that way, one of the best field trips we've been on yet in my 6 years with a kid in school was, I guess, for 4th grade year. So that would have been last year or the year before last. We went to Mississippi State and got to tour the dairy science program there and go to the dairy farm and get to see the cows and how they take care of them. And it's just really incredible what they're doing in terms of dairy science there at Mississippi State and beyond to to sort of help with sustainability and all the things you were mentioning, Donna.
They do a good job there, and every year they have a fall event and a spring event that anyone can come to. It doesn't cost anything, and it's a great program. It's hands-on. The kids get to try to milk a cow. They get to pet the baby calves. They get to see how everything is done.
Milk a cow. That's something I'd like to see my kid try to do before she ate her Frosty Flakes in the morning. Could you imagine if kids had to go out and get their milk for their breakfast? What life would sort of be like. Another fun statistics I see here, Donna, is Mississippi is home to about 7,000 dairy cows, and they produce an average of 4.9 gallons of milk per day.
That's a lot of milk.
That is a lot of milk. But when you think about it, too, it says here that the average herd is about 149 milking cows. We're not talking about big, large monstrosity of
correct,
whatever type of farming, commercial farming. These are still very family-owned, family-centered, family-operated.
Yes.
Small to medium sort of size.
Yes, they are. And the farmers know every one of their cows by name. They know everything about them. Now, they do use a lot of the computer systems, and they have tags in their ears where they can keep up with them. A few of the farms do have some things computerized so they can keep up with how much milk they make each time. But for the large part, a lot of our dairy farms are still very small. They're just family-run.
You talk about a lot of the different programs. One thing that I think people don't recognize is our farm families here in Mississippi, along with the Dairy Alliance, are very committed to our schools. What are some of the great great programs that may be in our schools that we don't recognize that are through our dairy farmers?
Okay. Through our dairy farmers, we receive grants. And so with that, and then through the Dairy Alliance, we give these grant funds out to schools to increase dairy and to increase breakfast. Right now, the big hot thing that the schools like is an iced coffee program.
Absolutely.
Well,
you mean that's the cold thing that's hot right now, right?
The big hot cold iced coffee. But we're doing that in a lot of high schools. I just gave out 17 more grants. Most of those were for iced coffee programs, smoothie programs, and that's what we're trying to do, just promote that. We do smoothie programs. If we realize that a school has a refrigerator out, nobody wants to drink lukewarm milk. So that's when we'll try to help them get a refrigerator and get a milk box. We are getting some of the display boxes like you would see in a fast food store. And with that, they can put yogurt parfait, sandwiches, salads, as long as it has some cheese on it or some type of dairy. Then we have these grants are available too.
When you think about, I could hear a parent maybe cringe when you hear iced coffee. Why would you want to be giving that much caffeine to teenagers? And I'm here to tell you, they're drinking their energy drinks, they're drinking their loaded teas, they're drinking everything else. And from a dietitian standpoint, if I could swap one of those or two of those servings a week for just some coffee with some actual milk that's got nutrients in it, I feel like that's a win.
It's
a win.
It's a win-win. And actually, the iced coffee, because it is a concentrate that they use, and they don't use very much of it, they use sugar-free syrup with it. So the iced coffee actually has less caffeine than a can of soft drink would.
Well, don't tell the teenagers that.
I know. They think that they're really getting a buzz from it. But, it counts as part of their school meal, what a lot of the schools are doing. You can get this iced coffee as part of your meal. Just come and get a meal, too. We want you to eat some grain. We want you to have some fruit. We just want you having something to start your day off.
Which I think is a good thing, too, that we need to remember is how much effort they go into promoting those all-around sort of healthy habits. Yes, it's about moving more milk through schools, but that comes along with your other food groups, your other things. And, I mean, if kids are getting encouraged left and right for sugary sweetened beverages or for, junk foods and chips and whatever, the good stuff needs to be marketing to them as well and making it as easy as possible for them to make a better choice.
It does. I recently was in Long Beach and we were doing an iced coffee sampling, and one of the coaches went and got a lot of his students. I don't know where they were, but a lot of his athletes, and came over there and said, you guys need to try this. You need to be drinking this every day so I can make sure you get your milk.
No, I love that. All right, speaking of milk, you got it coming in on the C Spire text line. We want to know what's your favorite thing to drink in a glass of ice cold milk with. Maybe you are like, someone said a Krispy Kreme donut. Sharpie in Wayne County said. Let us know. We've got more with Donna coming Podcast. We are continuing our milk conversation with Donna Speed. She's a registered dietitian with the Dairy Alliance and the dairy farm families here in Mississippi. And it is June, so it means it's June Dairy Month. Yesterday was World Milk Day. So our question for you today is, what is your favorite thing to have a glass of ice cold milk along with? We've got hot pecan pie coming in on the text line. Okay. I ain't mad at it. Whole milk with white bread is awesome. So that goes along with what you said too, Donna, that a glass of milk kind of pairs well with just about any sandwich, yes. Right? There is something about that white bread, especially if it's a sort of a white bread traditional sort of sandwich. Now, Rhett and Ridgeland, I have never tried this, but I'm not going to be mad at it until I've tasted it. Cherry Kool-Aid mix and milk is surprisingly good. So I don't know if that's sort of like you have your strawberry milk, right?
Yeah, I bet that would be good.
It would be something. So Rhett and Ridgeland, I need to know how much milk to how much mix. Are you putting like a packet of milk, a packet that would make a gallon into a gallon of milk? Or how are you? Okay, Rhett and Ridgeland, we need your detailed recipe on that. I still like to dip chocolate chip cookies in milk every night before I go to bed. There is something magical about a chocolate chip cookie that will soak up the milk. Not all are made for dipping, but the ones that will, yeah, there's something unique about that. I always like cornbread and a little sweetener with my milk. My grandmother got me into that.
Yes.
My late father-in-law would make a meal out of whole milk and cornbread, or buttermilk and cornbread. Yep. He would get this glass of buttermilk, crumble up fresh or leftover cornbread from the whatever, and then sit there and just eat it with a spoon like it was just dessert or something. And I always thought, well, this is interesting. But hey, to each his own. I think. Yeah, because it's good for you. It's good for you.
That's what a lot of our grandparents and great-grandparents did. They would have their biggest meal at lunch.
Yeah.
So supper would be just cleaning up the leftovers.
And what better way to do that with than buttermilk and some cornbread?
Yes, because, that milk it's one of the high-quality protein foods. Mm-hmm. It does contain the good protein that we need. It contains essential nutrients. It's just an all-around good food for us to consume every single day.
Which is sad because we teach our kids, or we encourage our kids to drink their milk so you'll have strong bones and teeth. There's good science behind that. Kids who don't get milk, unless they're eating their cedar plank salmon and getting their fresh spinach out the garden, then they're probably missing those key nutrients. Yes. And so, but we forget as adults we need those too. So it's still important to drink your milk or get in your dairy foods, even older.
I was actually at a medical conference, and I had 2 orthopedic doctors to come up, and they were saying that they had come to realize that a lot of their youth that they see with fractured bones and broken bones, and asking them, they're not consuming their dairy every day. So they said, we tell everyone, get your milk in every single day.
I think part of that is just because there's more options.
Yes.
You talk about like back in the day, you only had coffee, water, or milk.
Yeah.
And occasionally the Kool-Aid, as Rhett and Ridgeland's now putting in his milk, which I think is great. But so now there's other things fighting for your kids' glass as much as it is for their plate, and we just forget that it has its place. If somebody says, but Donna, milk gives me gas, I'm lactose intolerant, what do you say to that?
Well, if you're lactose intolerant, you can get the lactose-free milk. It'll still have all the essential nutrients, and it shouldn't bother you. You also can eat hard cheeses and a lot of the yogurts. You can handle that. A lot of people can handle that.
Which is good. And I know someone texts in, they always do, we are the only animal that drinks milk from another animal. And I would remind you, we're the only mammal that does a lot of things that other animals don't do. And there's a lot of animals that will drink milk. You just got to put it down there for them. Yes. They don't have the thumbs to get it. I've never seen a cat turn away cow's milk. So, I know there's a lot of thinking around it, but as a dietitian, I just know the science, and I understand the vehicle that milk is for good nutrients that are needed for growth and for health. And it's just sad that we're missing that opportunity to provide our family members with that just because of thinking that doesn't make sense.
Well, there's so many myths out there and so many misconceptions. And, milk is a natural type food. It really is. It comes from the cow. Yes, we pasteurize it, but it's still a really good beverage. And it's serving is only 25 cents for an 8-ounce serving of milk. You get 2 or 3 servings of milk a day, you have everything that you need just about.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about, though, on the farm. You had some good statistics about trying to do, I just love it. I just want to be able to say cow farts. So trying to manage, I don't want to say it again. What are our farmers up to?
We can say cow burps.
Yes.
Okay. So the farmers, there's been a lot of talk about the cows really contributing to the emission gases. And so what they're doing now, they're using seaweed and other ingredients in their food, and in doing that, they hope to cut back on the cow burps by 20 to 50%.
Who has to measure that?
I don't know. I don't think it will be me. But they've changed up what they do a whole lot. The cows, they actually eat a lot of things that other people can't consume. They eat like almond, husk. They just have, with their stomachs, they can tolerate a lot of waste, like the orange peels. A lot of things like that would otherwise be in the landfill. Mm-hmm. So now it's being used again. The same way with the farmers, the way they use their water. They are masters of that. They use their water first to chill the milk, then they use it to feed the cows, for the cows to have our hydration. Then they use it to mist the cows. They use it to wash out the barn. Mm-hmm. Then they save that water, and because guess what else is in that barn? The manure. But they then turn around and take that water that's been flushed out and use it on their fields to help grow the food again that they'll be cutting back and using to feed the cows.
And someone also asked, what are my thoughts on banning raw milk? I think that's a public health priority. I think when you can't regulate raw milk, then you can't be able to sell it to the public with good conscience. If you wouldn't eat raw chicken, you wouldn't drink raw milk. And you don't know what happens to the milk once it leaves the farm. You put it in the back of your car. You make a few stops and errands. You have the opportunity for terrible bacteria to grow. And then a small child or a pregnant woman, terrible things can happen from that. Just like they wouldn't eat raw chicken, they were going to cook it first. If you want the safest milk, you're going to pasteurize it first. I know there's a lot of people who find their ways to raw milk with trusted farmers, and that's your business. But in the terms of making it a general public opportunity, I think you're asking for an enormous amount of risk that just is unnecessary. And then also, who accepts responsibility? Is it going to be the farmer because you didn't correctly cool it down or take care of it on your way home? Or do you assume the risk? So, there's so many more questions to that than just simply, why do you ban raw milk? Because you wouldn't eat raw chicken. So that's my thoughts on that.
Well, and I agree with you because there is a chance that you take. And so to protect the public, it needs to be pasteurized.
Absolutely.
We do have a lot of small farms around us that, are taking care of their own milk, pasteurizing it, making cheese with it, but that's still, I know that a lot of those are safe, but I'm going to get my milk at the grocery store most of the time.
And I definitely wouldn't get raw milk from a farmer I didn't know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, some of the milk that's been pasteurized that's at the farmers markets, that's fine to have. But the raw milk, I would steer clear of it.
And I would never support anything that opened that up to being available to the general public to just go to a farm and purchase raw milk. I think you're just asking for a health crisis, well, not a crisis, but a health nightmare for individual families.
Well, because at the dairy farms, the milk is checked so much and it's regulated so much for any type of bacteria. If something is wrong with the whole 100 gallons of milk, it's destroyed.
Right.
Where if you're just buying it raw, you don't have that safety precaution there.
Absolutely. Well, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to celebrate dairy farmers and their delicious products that they make over the month. So where do we go, Donna, to keep up with everything?
Okay, go to thedairyalliance.com. We have a lot of good recipes, a lot of activity sheets, a lot of information, a lot of good films, videos. You can also go to Milk Help, PEP, and that also has a lot of good information. Main thing, just think dairy, the Dairy Alliance.
What about recipes?
We have a lot of good recipes. We have a lot of good ice cream recipes for June on there, too.
Do people still make churn ice cream at home?
I did that 2 weeks ago. Yes, ma'am.
What'd you make?
I made vanilla ice cream. I used pasteurized eggs in it. I used the whole milk. But I made a big container of it, and there were maybe 2 small bowls left by the end of the day.
Alrighty, well, that sounds delicious on June Dairy Month. So get your recipes, enjoy your milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, however else you want to do it. And you guys also stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.